everybody. Sorry, I didn't realize I was recording there. All right, so we're going to talk about ancient Rome today, and specifically we're going to talk about power. You have a benchmark on Wednesday with this, and I want to get you updated after a long spring break, help you out a little bit. And so Italy is primarily what we're going to talk about today. It is located in the Mediterranean Sea, as you can see right here, me pointing. It's all one country, but basically it's made up of different areas. Even now, there's different regions in Italy. The legend is it was founded by these twin brothers named Remus and Romulus, and they were abandoned by birth and they were raised by a wolf. This is legend. This is really true. But this sculpture is what you can find in a lot of museums and stuff, and that's what it depicts. It depicts this wolf and then Remus and Romulus is named for the city of Rome. All right, so you will have to know this a little bit. So the founding of Rome is because in the beginning, in 509 BCE, the Romans overthrew what was called an Etruscan king. The Etruscans mainly took over the northern part of Italy, and they established a republic. And a republic is when you have indirect democracy, meaning that people can participate in the government. But at that time, not everybody could participate in the government. Mostly it was the patricians, and you see them labeled here. And patricians are from an aristocratic family, upper class. Basically, the politicians mostly were people of wealth. And if you didn't have wealth, if you didn't come from a wealthy family, you weren't going to be a politician. And plebeians were known as the poor people. They were common people like artisans, merchants, farmers. They didn't really have any power, but they were 95% of the population. And the patricians, or the wealthy people, were only 5%. So the plebeians were really the working class, and the patricians were the wealthy. Now, at this time in Greece, 500 members were the representative body called the Senate, and Rome liked what Greece did, and they took it for themselves when they overthrew the Etruscan king, and they made a 300-member body called the Senate, and they were mostly patricians, and they had to deal with like policies and laws, and that's what they controlled. It was led by two councils, one that led the army and one that directed the government. Those councils are kind of the people who were in charge of a majority of stuff. They were kind of like the leaders, and they were elected. They only could serve one term, so no one would get too powerful. This is really smart because you don't want one very powerful person, because then you just get kind of like another king, and they just overthrew a king, so they don't want that. In times of war or crisis, the Senate would choose a dictator as leader, and it would compete with power and get things done quickly, but they would only last 6 months, and then they would have to be done. So plebeians had not a lot of say, but they were the working class. They were the people who were fighting in the army. The plebeians were not happy about having no power, and they argued that they would not follow the laws if they didn't know what the laws were. So the thing called the 12 tables was written out. And the 12 tables, you can see in the bottom right-hand corner, was a written law, and they were written down so the laws couldn't be changed. And it's one of the most significant Roman contributions, because these laws, if they were written by wealthy people, and they could easily be changed here and there. But because they were wrote down in tablets and in stone, these laws wouldn't be changed and no one would be tricked. Plebeians eventually granted the right to elect tribunes to the representative body, and a tribune had the right to veto a law that could be harmful to the plebeians. So the plebeians do start fighting for power, and they do gain a little bit of power with the tribune. Eventually, Rome becomes a military power, and they start taking over more and more and more of Italy. As you can see, Rome was just this tiny little speck here, circled in blue. And as they go out, they start taking over more of Italy, Sardinia, Corsica. And they tried to treat the new lands with justice and be fair to the people they overtook, because they wanted them to become a bigger and more powerful empire. And the only way to make an empire is to be more fair to the people you take over. And there's a saying called all roads lead to Rome. The Romans mainly made a ton of roads and made things like aqueducts to get water into different places. And they did this because they were traveling so much and they were taking over places. The Roman military was not well paid, and they were loyal, and they had legions, but they were rewarded for good service, and most of them were plebeians. They're just going to tell you about, there was this thing called the Punic Wars, and Rome won Sicily, Corsica, Sardinia. So this is Sicily right here at the bottom of the boot. It looks like I mean, it's not really called the boot until Garibaldi takes over in the 1900s, but it does look like a boot. Here you can see the little heel and the toe here, and this is Sicily, the bottom of the boot here. And then you have Sardinia and Corsica. Sardinia and Corsica kind of fight between like France, Italy, France, over years and years and years. I'm not going to go into Hannibal right now. I'm not going to go into Punic Wars. Let's see what else I can tell you about real quick. Okay, so now we're going to go into Julius Caesar. So you learn that Italy becomes a conquering state, and Rome expands its empire, and they start building stronger and stronger armies. Caesar was one of the generals that helped Rome expand, and so he was known as a soldier, and a very good one. You see him pointing his finger out. That is a universal sign for all art historians to say you are a member of the public, like you support the public, because they're pointing at the public. So usually beloved people who are supported by the population have their finger out like that. That's a good sign for you. And then the other general was Pompey, and he was another general along with Caesar. Caesar was really smart. He was able to take over a region of Gaul. Gaul is most of the Frankish states or France that we know of now. Pompey convinced the Senate to order Caesar to return home to Rome. And so Caesar did, but he did so with his army and threatened Pompey. At this time, he seized Rome, and Pompey had to run away. Julius Caesar was known well among his loyal supporters in the army, and he was supported by the plebeian class, or the poor working class people, and that made up the majority of Rome. And with all of that support, he became what's called a dictator for life. He had total power. He wasn't really a king, but he was in charge of all the laws and things that were made. He did a lot of great things while he was in government. He made a public works program to hire unemployed people, give people jobs. People care about jobs. People want jobs, especially when they're poor. He gave land to poor people. He created a new calendar. It's actually the calendar we use today. Caesar started to get too powerful, and people in the Senate who were also in power saw this and they didn't like this, and they started to be like, we got to get rid of him. No one usually gets too powerful without someone taking them down. Once you go up, there's always a down, right? And this down was called the Ides of March. It was March 15th in 44 BCE, and he was stabbed 23 times by his fellow senators in this picture here. And they did so because they were fearful of his power, as well as they saw it as a road to leading to nowhere. People started taking revenge, but obviously there's going to be a power struggle. He let a lot of people in the Senate, and when there was no more him, somebody else had to rise to the occasion. And the people who rose to the occasion were Mark Antony, Octavian, and Lepidus, and they were known as the Triumvirate. Mark Antony and Octavian soon killed all the people who betrayed Caesar, and then they try to figure out, which one of us would lead Rome. This is kind of where Cleopatra comes into the story. She's also in the story with Caesar. They have a son named Caesarion. And her brother gets killed. His name is Ptolemy. He is the ruler of Egypt. She asked Julius Caesar for his help. This slide really should be up more. Caesar, once he was killed by the Senate, Cleopatra starts to get nervous, and she offers to help the Triumvirate, which contains Mark Antony. Her and Mark Antony fall in love, and they have this beautiful love story, and they return from Egypt to be husband and wife in Rome. And there was a kind of like this fateful moment where Mark Antony hears that Cleopatra dies, and then he kills himself with his sword. She actually was alive, somebody lied. And then she learned about Antony's death and she killed herself. It's kind of a Romeo and Juliet situation. Anyway, they're trying to compare this to Star Wars. So as we go through this time period where there is a rise in power, the Etruscans have a king, they take over, they throw the king out of here, then they have then you have new power with the Senate. The Senate has kind of a lull, right? Then they are powerful, but not powerful enough for the Roman army to take over with Caesar. Caesar is killed by the Senate because he gets too powerful. Mark Antony is killed by himself when he hears that Cleopatra's dead. So now there is an emptiness here. There is a void to be filled, that power void. And what we get is Emperor Augustus. Mark Antony was defeated and Octavian returns to Rome. And he is named Augustus or Augustus Caesar. He is very aware of the mistakes that Caesar made, meaning he knows that he got too powerful, and he's like, I'm not going to do that. He is known as a beloved. Remember that finger. When you see people pointing the finger, it means that they were for the people. He is known as a beloved dictator or like emperor at this time. He reformed the government. He opened it up to a lot of plebeian class. It was not just now made up of people who are wealthy. He created what's called a civil service test, so anyone could take a test and be a part of government. He created a census so people could be taxed fairly, created a postal service, new coins, easier to trade, more roads. And he's the guy that said, I came in and Caesar Augustus, or Caesar had this place as marble, Caesar had this place like bricks and I made it into marble, meaning he made this Roman Empire much stronger. It's known as the Pax Romana or the Golden Age, Roman peace. There's no wars here. There's a lot of peace, wealth, expansion. It expands through a lot of Africa and parts of Asia and even the United Kingdom all the way up north. Rome is really powerful at this point. I'm not going into this. Boop, ba-doo, boo, boo. They're just showing you different places. Let's see here. I really want to get into religion with you. It's a beautiful building. You guys could always ask me about Rome. I've been to Rome a lot. Well, not a lot, at least like 5 times. I really like visiting Rome. This is what I was telling you about. All roads lead to Rome. If you actually look, most roads come back to Rome because they had such a large empire. Sorry, I'm trying to get. Okay. All right, so at the time of early Rome, you have what's known as pagan religions and religions where they're kind of similar to Greece, right? You have the Pantheon, and it is a plate. I can show you a picture. I saw it when I was passing. This is the Pantheon. It supports all gods, pan meaning all. And it was made to support all gods because they were worshiping a lot of different. And Rome at one time when its early founding was accepting of many different religions. Most people were required to worship Roman gods, which were similar to like Zeus, Hera, things like that. They're just called by different names. Instead, they were called like Diana. I think they call them Zeus, Jupiter, kind of like our solar system names. There were Jewish people in Rome at this time, and Romans turned against the Jewish people and forced them out to live in places like Jerusalem and Egypt. Christianity began during the Pax Romana. It was founded by Jesus of Nazareth. It was a small sect within Judaism. Jesus was born a Jew in the city of Bethlehem around 4 BCE. Much of what we know comes from the Bible and the New Testament. It's basically like the first part of the Bible. Things like Genesis, etc. Many people believe that Jesus was a carpenter and began teaching at age 30 and used parables, like stories that aren't really true but tell a good story to teach you a lesson about life. Jesus was a practicing Jew. He believed in one God, and he spread new ideas and called himself the Son of God. Let's see. I don't want to go too much into Christianity. I really want you to talk about, I don't think you guys get into Constantine. Okay, let's see if they have anything about the Crusades. The one thing I do want to talk about are the Crusades. I want to see if you guys, why aren't you sharing anything? Sorry, my Facebook is going. I'm not sure if you can see that. New share. Let me see if I can find Christianity. All right, where are we here? Just want, okay, let's see. All right, so after the death of Augustus, let's make sure I'm sharing the right one here. In 14 AD, a new religion began to spread. It was Christianity. It took hold of the eastern half of the Roman Empire. So imagine it's much more towards Asia, the religion, and it started to spread. Christians were often persecuted, and eventually it becomes the religion of the Emperor Constantine at the very end. And he picks it up and he like carries the religion to what it is today. I think that's all you guys need to know. I don't think we've gone into the Crusades. I'm gonna touch upon that real quick, see if I can find it, and then we'll be done. I just want you guys to review this slightly. I really don't know why nobody touches upon this. Okay, so that's really all I have for you guys today. I'm going to stop this share. What I want you guys to do is focus on just watching this a couple of times. You could also type in ancient Rome and see what you find in Google. Specifically, I would look at Khan Academy. I'm going to send this out to your guys' parents, and that's all. Thanks so much. Bye.